Okay, today we are going to be writing equations of circles and interpreting the equations of circles. So if you've done the warm-up, we're actually going to come back to that in a second video. We're going to start with the basics of equations of circles. So if you recall from 10.1 that a circle is a set of all points in a plane that are equidistant from a given point in a plane, and that the center is a point from which all points on a circle are equidistant, and a radius is any line segments whose endpoints are the center of a circle and a point on the circle. All right, so we are going to derive the equation of a circle. All right, so let's suppose the center of this circle is right here and its coordinates are h and k. And then a radius goes from that center to a point on that circle, which we'll just call xy. And so then the radius is the distance between those 2 points, xy and hk. So as a reminder, the distance formula is the square root of the difference in the x coordinates squared plus the difference in the y coordinates squared. So in this case, we're looking for our radius, and it's going to be equal to the square root of the difference in our x, so x minus h squared, plus the difference in our y's, which is y minus k squared. And then we're going to go ahead and square both sides of the equation, and we find out that r squared is equal x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k squared. So that's the general form of the equation of a circle. It's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to radius squared. That's how we usually write it. Okay. So now we're going to do some examples. First, we're going to write the equation of a circle if we are given the center and the radius. So again, as a reminder, the formula for the equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. All right, so plugging in, our center is 3, -1. So that means that h is 3 and is -1. So we're going to write it as x minus 3, and we're going to square that. Plus quantity y minus -1, square that, equals our radius, which is 5 squared. And now we'll just simplify this, and we get x minus 3 quantity squared plus y plus 1 quantity squared equals 25. And that'd be our answer. In B, our answer is 0, 4, so h is 0 and k is 4. And it didn't transfer on here, but the problem actually should say that r is equal to the square root of 7. So hopefully your notes say that. All right, so we're going to again plug into the formula. So it's going to be x minus h, which is 0, quantity squared, plus y minus k, which is 4, quantity squared, equals our radius, which is the square root of 7, which is squared. So simplifying, x minus 0 is just x, and then we'll square that, plus y minus 4 quantity squared. Then the square root of 7 squared is just 7, and that would be the equation of our circle. All right. Now, C problem is similar, but there's a little bit of work to be done because they didn't actually tell us what the center and the radius are, but we can easily find them if we remember our midpoint formula and our distance formula. So to find the center is going to be equal to the midpoint of our diameter. And to find a remember we average the x's and then we average the y's. So if I look at my x x's. I'm going to average those two together. So 1 plus 1 and divide by 2. And then if I look at my y's, I'm going to average those. 8 plus negative 6, divide that by 2, and that'll be the y coordinate. So then the center, which is the midpoint of the diameter, is going to be at 0.11. And then to find the radius, we use the distance formula. Now you have choice. You should use the center, and then you can use either of the 2 points. I'm going to use 1/8. So then my radius is going to be the square root of difference in my y's, so 1 minus 1 squared. Difference in my x's squared plus the difference in my y's, 8 minus 1 squared. So then that's equal the square root of 0 plus 7 squared, which is the square root of 49, which is 7. So then in the equation, we use the center, x minus 1 squared, plus y minus 1 squared. And that's going to equal my radius squared. So I'm going to take 7 and square that, and then that'll give me 49. And that'll be the equation of the circle. It has a diameter with endpoints 1, 8, and 1, negative 6. Now, example 2, we're going to find the coordinates of the center and radius of each circle whose equation is given, and then we're going to draw the graph. All right, so again, as a reminder, we've got x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals radius squared. So first I'm going to find my center. So I need to figure out what's being subtracted from x here, and what's being subtracted from x is 3. So I'm going to write down a 3 for h, and then figure out what k is equal to. I need to see what's being subtracted from y, and nothing is being subtracted from y, so k is 0. And then know that the radius squared is equal to 9. So we're going to solve for r by taking the square root of each side, and we get that the radius is equal to 3. So now to graph this, we start by plotting our center, which is at the point 3, 0. And then we're going to go out in 4 directions from the center with the radius of 3. So from 3, I go to the right 3, and then back to the center. And then I go up 3, and I go back to the center. And I go to the left 3, and then I go back to the center. Then I go down 3, and now I can draw my circle. And we've somewhat successfully graphed the circle that was given to us. Mine doesn't look that great, but you get better with practice and easier on actual paper. Okay, so next one, same type of problem. We have to find the center. Okay, so here, remember it's x minus h that's being squared. But what's being subtracted then to make a positive 2 is actually a negative 2. So another way to think about it is to just take the opposite of what's inside the parentheses. All right, so I'm going to put in negative 2 for the x coordinate, and here, y, there's a 5 being subtracted, or you can think about, well, what's the opposite of what's in here? There's a minus 5. The opposite is positive 5. So our center is negative 5. And then we know our radius squared is equal to 16. So take the square root of each side, and we know r is equal to 4. So then to graph this, we go to the point negative 5. And then we go out in each direction from the point negative 2, 5. So I go to the right 4, to the center. I go up 4, back to the center, to the 4, back to the center. I go down 4. Right, and now I connect them and try to make a circle. Right. And that is how you graph a circle from an equation.